Well, good evening, everybody. It's Kevin, and this is my beautiful yet tired bride.
Super tired.
She's been outside working hard all day, and I have been doing my best to supervise. No, welcome to the Goin Batty live stream. We are so glad that you're with us. And we got a couple things to talk about while people are starting to come on and check things out because we know there's a lot watching Living on a Dime right now. And if you haven't been to Living on a Dime's website, they have some amazing videos out. Mike took a hike with Dave recently. Tara put out a video with Mike and Jamie about student loans. You got to see these videos. They are awesome.
Is her mom saying Jamie?
I think so. If her mom's not Jamie, then forget I said that. It was Tara's mom. But anyway, there are a couple of things that we're going to talk about as we come on, and we're just going to. I got to do a few magic things on my computer. But one of the what we're going to talk about here while things are coming on is the top 10 things you would have in a bug out bag.
Hi, Alice.
Hi, Colette. The top 10 things that you would have in a bug out bag. And as I bring this up, Heather's going to bring her wisdom into this, and we're going to share with you some of our thoughts about a bug out bag.
Explain what that is.
Of course.
So, you want me to explain what
Yeah,
it is?
go ahead.
Okay, so say that you are in an area where there are natural disasters. You need a bag in your car that has stuff that you, like necessities that you're going to need.
Jill is Tara's mom.
Jill. It's not Jamie.
Not Jamie.
I was going to say, I couldn't think of her name.
I'm sorry.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol. Thank you.
But, the things that you would need in a bag that you could hop in the car and go. So say that you live in, hurricane-prone areas in Florida.
Or tornado-prone zones like
zones.
Xenia.
Yeah, in Ohio. I mean, now for us it's a little different because hurricanes, you have like a while that that they're coming. Hurricanes kind of hit like that, and then you have enough time a lot of times to get down to the basement.
Yeah.
But even after that, like if something happens like to your house or something like that, and you have to leave it for a while, you have the stuff in this bag.
That's right.
That you're going to be okay with. Hey, Crystal. And
Hi, Crystal
Patrick.
and Patrick or Patrick.
And or Patrick.
And so we're talking about what are the top 10 things that we would have in our bug out bag, and where's the best place to buy them? What's the cheapest place? Is cheap always better? These are good questions we're going to talk about right now. So the first thing that people have told us, and keep in mind, this is according to the amount of people in your family. Yeah. So our bug out bag is going to look different because of the number of kids we have.
Yeah.
Now, we don't have a bug out bag, but we thought it'd be interesting to talk about.
Well, and we're thinking about doing one too. Because
we actually would call it something different. We would call it the DWH bag.
Yeah, the Dad's Wild Hair bag.
Every once in a while, I'll get a wild hair, and this.
It's Pat.
It's Pat. All right, cool. Every once in a while I get a wild hair, and I want to go somewhere and do something, and Heather feels terribly unprepared, and she's like, what in the world?
So I used to keep this bag in our car before we even knew what a bug out bag was. But I mean, like, again, we're not ones that oh my gosh, head for the hills, the army has invaded us.
That's right.
We're kind of not those people. We're just going to let, God is in control of things, and if stuff like that happens, then it's going to happen, and there's not a whole lot we can do about it. But when it comes to like I said, natural disasters, or say that you have like something happening in your family and you have to leave quickly, like
yes.
Say that you have a relative that's sick and you have to go visit them or something like that, or you're driving in a place where winters are very harsh in your area. This is another reason to have one. So
absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so number one thing is obvious: water. You gotta have water, and some would say don't just have water, have enough water for like 6 months. Some would say
in the bug out bag you would have
right,
yeah,
but for 6 people.
Well, I think
one bottle per person.
Like they talk about like it's either like 48 or 72 hours, something like that. Enough water, and like I think it's a gallon of water a day for a person. That's
a lot of water.
That would be a lot of water.
That's
for us.
like 6 gallons for us.
But now you can buy the bottled water and stuff, or you can have like this would also be handy, like a life straw on hand, where you could literally, they use them, and actually they started making them for third world countries where you could actually stick it in a muddy puddle of water and drink that water, and it will filter out everything.
I love that,
So-
and I think that should be in our Bugout bag.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, PNC
The
Acres.
husband, look! I'm wearing your shirt you gave me. Just thought I'd show you.
I think that Pat is having trouble with his autocorrect.
Uh-oh.
So we're looking at Pat, and I'm working on a new EDC bag, Everyday Christian. I think he meant to say bag.
Bag, yeah.
Earlier he had trouble with the I have a
I wonder if
big
Pat has the
put
same
bag
problem
also.
that you do, where it's pudgy fingers on a little teeny tiny keyboard.
It's a problem. It's a real problem. I'll be honest with you. Well, welcome either way, and
Yeah.
we're the next thing is food. Food that you can have and not have to stop for.
Non-perishable stuff. So like
right.
your cheese and peanut butter crackers, things like that.
Only we're gluten free now, and
well,
we're not
yeah,
doing
but
that
I mean,
stuff.
if it's an emergency, I'm going to keep that kind of stuff in the car.
Or granola bars.
Yeah, granola bars is another one. You know, even though my kids hate them, like if you needed a source of protein that is shelf stable, like potted meat and Vienna sausages.
Yep.
You know, those.
That's a good idea.
Though they taste completely like salt. But if you needed something, like those are, and those you can get at the dollar store for, what was it? 2 of them for $1. So, and if you go to like Kroger around here, they're like, you know, what was it? 75 cents a piece. So actually, like there are certain things that you can get at the dollar store that are good deals and certain things that aren't. But if you had things like, you know, if you needed like the small things of like fruit, like that are already sealed in a package, you could do those. Stuff like the applesauce that you can suck out of the tube, things like that. Stuff that's shelf stable that can be in your car. Drive life food, yeah, that would work. But you would need a can opener.
Yeah, well,
So,
unless you had the little pack
unless
snacks,
you had,
the snack
yeah.
packs. The other is paracord.
Paracord.
Paracord is very, very, very valuable.
And if you don't have paracord, any kind of cord, like just so that you could, you know, if you needed
any kind
to.
of string or rope.
Yeah, and again, that's stuff that you can get at the dollar store. You can get nylon rope. You can get clothesline there.
Paracord is very. I mean.
But like if we had our choice, paracord would be what we would use because it's stronger. It's just stronger. So
for sure. Then duct tape.
I wouldn't buy that at the dollar store.
No.
You get a very limited amount. I would just
Go
bite
for
the
the
bullet and go to Walmart or Lowe's or something like that.
Yeah, and get like the monkey with the Gorilla Glue tape.
Yeah.
You know, get the good stuff. Or duct, whatever.
Yeah.
A first aid kit. Now, first aid kits can be expensive. Here's some tips right here that maybe would help you.
Here is what I have found. Like you can put together your own little first aid kit and get one of those like little kind of plastic shoe boxes. And again, go to the dollar store, get Band-Aids, get the bottles of peroxide and alcohol, get a pack of cotton balls. You know, as long as you're not doing like, you know, major, you know, like you're going to have to stitch somebody up. We're talking about minor scrapes, bumps, bruises, cuts. You know, something to clean it out, and then you can get a thing of Neosporin to go in there, an antibiotic. I would not get. I mean, unless you're looking to save space, I actually would not get like your aspirin, Tylenol, ibuprofen there because
where at the dollar store?
The dollar store, because it only comes like 25.
It's small. 25
pills. But I mean, again, though, if you're looking to save space in your little box, then that's fine, because if you think about it, you get those little packets that have 2 of them if you buy one at the store, and you may only get 3 packets that have 2 in it. So that's only 9.
Yep.
And I mean, still, even then, if you're spending $1 and getting ibuprofen, Tylenol, and like aspirin or an antacid or something like that, that would be, again, another place where I would go to the dollar store and get it. Their Band-Aids are fine. You know, I've actually used their migraine medicine. Yep. And it's fine too. It works just great. So.
Hey, can I say something real quick? Just internet safety. Just a quick thing. Can you guys be a little bit conscious about using our last name on the live streams? I know some of you know our last name, and sometimes we accidentally say it.
And
but
we try not to.
We mess
but,
up, but
yeah.
if you guys don't mind, help protect us a little bit on that.
It's just
I
for
would
the safety
appreciate
of our
it.
kids.
Just something I
Yeah.
noticed.
It's okay, Alicia. It's okay because we've done it too. And we've
messed
totally
up.
done it.
And
so.
there's like 20 Kevins in the world, so that have my last name. But just we've been slacking a little bit on it, and so we need to straighten up a little bit. The other thing that we put in this is a multifunctional knife or a multifunctional tool that has more than one thing. I think a knife is a great idea, but I don't have it with me, but I actually have an iPhone stand that is also a knife, that's also a screwdriver, that's also a pair of pliers, that also has tweezers on it, and it's just one of those things that it's just one of those big deals, you know what I mean, that you can use for anything. So a multifunctional knife.
Mrs. Landing is here. We haven't seen him in forever.
Hey, what's going on?
It's good to see you again.
Very cool. There's the other thing they say to having a bug out is either a tarp and or a tent.
Yeah.
And we have both.
Yep.
And so we can do both. Extra clothing. A fire kit. Now, what would you put in a fire kit? Your magnesium and your flint and your striker.
But if you don't know how to use one of those, again, go to the dollar store, get some matches. Get the kitchen matches, the ones that are longer, and you can actually make them waterproof by dipping the tips of them in paraffin. And here's the other thing: you can save your dryer lint and put it in egg cartons, and you have a fire starter. You would just tear the little egg place apart, and you put it in there because dryer lint is very flammable. You know how I know that? Because my mom's dryer caught on fire one time. So.
That's right. Well, and the other thing too is petroleum jelly on a cotton ball, and get 4 of them, shove them into a Ziploc bag, seal them up, and keep them with your matches.
Yep. That works. That actually works really great.
Yeah, that's a great fire starter. Then, of course, this is kind of a no-brainer.
We've got a couple people that came in. So
we do.
So, Janice and, let's see, Adaptive, shoot, it went by too fast.
Adaptive Maritimer.
Yeah, so, okay.
We've got some great folks. Goose's Landing.
Okay.
Yep, we've got a few. And then, obviously, is a flashlight. Now, here's
Goose's
the fun...
Landing said dryer lint they used in the Scouts.
Oh, yeah, that's and our boys are actually more knowledgeable about starting a fire now than I am.
Yes.
And it's kind of scary.
Yep.
But what I would say too is we might have almost everything we need for a bug out bag, but I don't know, we'll talk about this, but I'm not sure how organized we are.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. For my car, I have a first aid kit in. I always carry a first aid kit in my car because I have 4 kids, and 3 of them are boys, and they tend to hurt themselves more than the girl does.
Yep.
And I always keep the cheese and peanut butter crackers and granola bars in my car. I have an armrest in my Durango that when you flip it up, there's a little thing that would hold CDs. But if you pull that out, there's this big section down below, and I just put all that stuff in there because there are times we have a son that has an issue with migraines. If he doesn't eat every so often, he can get a really bad headache. So I keep that stuff in there, so in case that happens, he has something to eat. So, but it doesn't all have to be in one thing. Your first aid kit doesn't have to be in a bag. You can have, I've seen what was it? It used to be, it was the bag that 31 would sell, where it was kind of, it swung out and it had a metal bars in it, and it was really sturdy. You could put all your stuff, well, now they sell those everywhere. You can get those anywhere, and you could just line all of your stuff in it, and if you have a minivan or an SUV or something, it just sits there in the back of your car. And, in case of an emergency, that you have it. So, but again, it doesn't all have to be kept in one place. Like I said, I keep the granola bars and stuff in the arm console of the Durango, but the first aid kit's in the back. So, because my thought is that if they're going to need first aid, I'm going to set them in the back of the Durango with the tailgate up. And because that happened, actually, Miles bit it on his bike, and really just scraped up his knee and his elbow and everything. And I drove the car down to where they were because they were riding around the block. and I just picked them up, put them on there, and cleaned them all up. And then, you know, and that way, and I also keep in my car, I keep baskets for trash. So that way they can just throw the trash in there, and we can take the like grocery bag. It's one of those plastic grocery bags, and you just pull it out and you just throw it away.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's
well, that's welcome, and that's kind of what we wanted to talk about. We're going to move on to some other things, but you know, I don't consider us necessarily preppers, although I believe in being ready and I believe in self-sufficiency. So maybe we've got a little prep steady side to us, that we do want to have future food available for us. And be honest with you, this was an important time for us to have that, because there were some gaps in our paycheck, and we really needed to lean on some of the backstock of food that we've had, and it worked. We've got some, we had put away for a rainy day, and it kind of rained a little, and we were ready for it. So I was impressed with us, and we were ready to do some other things. So let's see. The Adaptive Maritimer. What did your name used to be? I'm forgetting what you used to be. So anyway,
I think that might be for Shield Maiden, because she changed her name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, Shield Maiden's right there.
I know, but she said that she changed her name.
Okay.
So
anyway, Goose's Landing says, Heather, I have a Wonder Woman item I need to send you.
What? I love Wonder Woman stuff.
That's right.
So I have a hat. Katie.
Oh no, it's Tim.
Oh.
It's Tim.
Oh.
It's Tim. It's not. No, it's Tim.
Oh.
I like that.
Well.
I like that. Giddy up.
Okay.
Giddy up. I like the name. That's very cool.
That's very good.
But anyway, we do not have a P.O. box number yet.
Yeah, we have to get that.
We have not done a good job of doing that.
We have just been. It's been incredibly, with school ending. I made the executive decision that today was our last day of school, because we have some stuff that we have, like each kid has a few things they have to catch up on, but it's just one subject, and because I didn't want it to bleed into our trip to Texas and stuff like that, and they just need a break. And
Hi, Rock's Corner. Hi, Darlene. Hi, Rosalie.
But so we're just.
Hi, Amy. Welcome. Goose's Landing, I tell you what, send me an email and we'll work something out, okay? Shoot me an email at info.goinbatty@gmail.com, and we'll work something out.
We do need to get that P.O. box.
You're right.
And it's funny because we don't think about it until somebody says
Cat
something
lover,
about
how
it.
are you?
So,
yeah. So just to, any of you can feel free to email us. We love getting emails. So info.goinbatty@gmail.com, and we'll talk more of that.
Amy T's here.
I know.
Okay, Amy T, I just have to tell you something. So my son was on, what was it, Netflix or Hulu or whatever, and they had the 37 most dangerous animals in Australia, and I'm like, how is she still alive? Every animal out there in Australia is out to kill you. So we were watching that, I'm going, how do they ever step out their doors? Because everything was just like, I'm like, it's gonna kill you. It's gonna kill you.
Hi, Sheila. So. Yeah, I think that's always a. No, Ozark's here. The snail. Okay, I don't know, but that's funny. So anyway, we're gonna get a little update on. We're gonna keep letting our ADD go amok and read through some of these, but also What?
I said I'll read if you want to talk.
All right.
Hi, Darlene.
We're going to talk about
the
kitchen, the Goin Batty kitchen, and all the things that have gone on. I don't know if any of you might have slipped into the Goin Batty Devo and watched that, but I have something to celebrate, and I'm bringing it to you guys. We're celebrating here. Heather and I are both cleaning up our diet. And I blogged about it today. If you want to see that, you can go to our blog, which I'll put up on a link in just a minute.
Sheila, we may have just moved locations to the other side of the table because we were having a horrible time with the sun shining in our eyes, and then we realized, well, if we moved to the other side of the table, the sun doesn't shine in our eyes.
That's right.
Usually we had the pie safe behind us, and now we just have the cabinets behind us. So, yeah.
Sorry, I'm.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm in the middle of
and it's good to know, Amy T, that not all of those animals that can kill you are all in one place. It makes me feel a little safer about maybe one day coming to visit.
They're just surrounding
Australia.
Amy T's house right now. No crocodile in my backyard. Okay, that's pretty funny.
That's good.
But anyway, I don't know if you know this, but Heather and I every once in a while write a blog, and
Hi,
it's
Shaitan.
here's the link to that blog if you guys would like to check it out. But I wrote one today about my weight loss journey, and wouldn't you know, Heather has lost,
I've lost 12 pounds.
and I have lost 20.
Yes.
And so I'm very excited. Hi, Jayton. Hi, Rock's Corner. I might have already said
You
it.
already said hello to her.
Well, there's twice. But we lost a collective 32 pounds so far. And it gives you some of the insights as to how we're eating. And basically what we're doing is we're keeping it simple. Yeah. We're not getting too fancy. Simple is good. We are staying away from breads and certain grains. We're staying away from anything that's cream-based. We're staying away from pop.
No macaroni and cheese because that's pasta and cheese.
Yep, no pasta. I don't do pasta.
Well, I have to tell you, like, there was the other day we were at church and they had hamburgers and they had macaroni and cheese and they had chips and they had all that. Well, I ate all of it. I ate every bit of it. And my stomach was killing me by the end of the day. Like, I was having horrible acid reflux problems, and like I have to take omeprazole because I have a hiatal hernia. And so that just means part of your stomach has pushed up through your esophagus, so sometimes your esophagus doesn't close right all the way. Well, when I eat anything that's kind of carb related, like bread, pasta, things
Crackers.
like it is worse. It makes it so
potato
bad.
chips.
And and so that night I was just in misery. And do you know that since I've started cutting all that stuff out, I haven't had to take omeprazole once? So your
body's trying to tell you something when you have heartburn.
Yeah.
Listen to it.
Yeah, yes, listen to it because I will that you guys know, my dad had esophageal cancer. He never smoked. Because that's usually what people that have it, and they said it was because he had what's called Barrett's esophagus, where again, like your esophagus doesn't close all the way, and that acid just keeps coming up and coming up and coming up. So if you're having issues with heartburn, that's not something to just ignore. So just FYI,
listen to your body.
Listen to your body.
Listen to your
and go
body.
to the doctor.
The link to our Goin Batty store blog is up there. And we would love for you to check it out and follow us because we'll be.
I put 2 new things on the store.
On the store.
Yeah.
For sale.
Yeah.
What are those 2 things?
I did two bags. I've got one that is kind of a coral color, and then I've got one that it's shades of light blue and green and coral and yellow. So I've got 2 bags that I've put up there, and I'm working on a 3rd one right now.
Well, and it's funny, it's not noticeable weight yet, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
It is.
I can feel it in my clothes.
I can feel it in my clothes,
I can,
too.
especially in my pants, like my waist. It's not as tight. I don't see it in my face or in my arms or in my hands or anything like that.
And as much as people are gonna trucking it up, as much as people are gonna kind of wince at this a little bit, you don't always have to have the fanciest meal. Sometimes simple is better. Get some broccoli and eat that. And
that's hard for me because I like to be creative when I cook. But even our dinner tonight, I'm like,
simple.
Okay, I'm not going to be creative with everything.
Yep.
I'm just going to be creative with one thing.
That's right.
So I made it's a Greek rice, and I can't for the life of me, I can't remember what it's called, but it has. Hold on, I'll find it. Let me find it real quick.
It's an amazing thing, but I'll tell you, eating simple, it doesn't have to be overwhelming, and you don't have to go to a big production. But you also, here's the other thing, and Pat, I know you relate to this, PNC Atkinson. I cannot stop at a gas station anymore.
You can't go in and pay.
I'll go get gas.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. They have this gas station here called Speedway. And every junk food that you could ever want is in that store. and they're
You
all
have taquitos,
over the place.
you have pizza, you
There's
have corn dogs, you
chips
have
and crackers, and there's all kinds of junk in there. Pop and freezy. Oh, it's just it kills me. And then when you buy the stuff, they give you points so you can get more free. It's a snowball effect. And so I've made a decision. I'm not buying anything there except I get my coffee.
Yeah.
And I had enough points this week to get coffee for free almost the entire week.
Yeah.
So gas stations, get away from gas station food. That has been huge.
I think cooking at home has made it. I mean, we cook at home. We don't eat out a whole lot at all.
Oops.
And cooking at home, has made it so, like, I have to be very intentional about what we eat. So, like, tonight I had, like I said, it was this Greek rice that had the rice, and then it had dill in it, and it had cumin in it, and it had spinach in it, and it had parsley, and I didn't tell you it had spinach in it till after you ate it.
What was it?
It had spinach in it.
What did?
The rice.
Oh, no, I knew it.
So,
she thinks she hides me.
but and you mix it all together with some lemon juice, and it's actually really good. It reminds me a lot of like the cilantro lime rice that you get at Chipotle. And then I just did, I took a sheet pan and I put zucchini and squash and onions and peppers on it and put it in a really hot oven, like 500 degrees. So while the rice cooked, those were cooking in the oven, and then I had chicken that I had marinated in, and it was olive oil, and I think it was red wine vinegar, and then it had some thyme and oregano and parsley in it and garlic. And what I do when I come home from the grocery store, like I'll get like 8 pounds of chicken, and then I'll just put them all in different marinades. Like I have like four or five marinades that I use, an Asian one, an Italian one, the one for fajitas, and then the Greek one. So I have four different marinades that I use, and I use it for, like, I'll use it for chicken, I'll use it for beef, and I'll just put it in a Ziploc bag and lay it flat in the freezer and then label it, and so that way I know what it is, so I can just pull it out for each meal, and I'm not going, oh shoot, I didn't pull it out, I didn't marinate stuff. So as it thaws, it marinates. Mm-hmm. So it's worked out really well for us, and so what we were eating is just very simple and plain, and like the vegetables, I put like garlics on it and some little salt and some pepper, and that was it, and it was really good. Yeah. So, and I'm making it so it's just enough of the protein to be a serving, because that sometimes can be the thing too, is like you're eating like 2 hamburgers, or you're eating like 2 pieces of chicken. And, you know, I was told that a serving of meat is about the size of the deck of cards, or about right here, the palm of your hand. That's how much meat you should be eating. And so I cut the chicken into chunks so it looked like there was a lot more of it. Mm-hmm. And we had a lot of vegetables. We had the rice, and then we had just a moderate amount of the meat. Oh, yeah. So absolutely. Yeah. So the simple is good. There are going to be moments where you have like a cheat day, right? Yeah. So when we had the blessing, I don't think we talked about this enough. We're going to re-talk about it again. We had the blessing of meeting up with the Hoffmans, mm-hmm. and Mindy and Jonathan and their wonderful daughters. They're great family. They came to Dayton, up through Dayton, and we were able to meet with them and have lunch with them. And we went to Chick-fil-A. Yep. Now, here's the thing. Chick-fil-A has some amazing salads. Yes. And that day, we treated ourselves, and I had some Chick-fil-A on my salad. Yeah. And so every once in a while, we find ourselves in a moment where we're kind of cheating a little bit, because it's like, that should reward. I have the spicy chicken sandwich with the pepper jack cheese, mm-hmm. and the large order of fries and a giant Dr. Pepper? No. Let's choose this. I mean, there's always a smarter choice to make there, and that's right. Having to retrain myself to make the smarter choices, because I told him, I said, I have not craved this since we moved to Maryland. And it is, I said, I have been wanting a Penn Station Philly cheesesteak sub for like the last, since we started going on this diet. And I'm like, oh, that sounds good. I'm like, no,
Nope, we're not gonna do it.
eat that. So,
We're gonna eat a carrot.
yeah.
We're gonna suck down some cauliflower.
No.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, here's the other part about the Goin Batty kitchen that I have absolutely adored. We, a few videos ago, Big Family Homestead challenged all of us to look around our area and find the edible plants. Mm-hmm. Well, my wife has this down. She knows what edible plants are. Well, we went to a local park and we tried to show you a video. I'm not sure we completely explained what happened, but as we were riding our bikes, my wife is riding around walking around the circumference, kind of the woods, the dangerous part of the park where she could have got mugged. And she's finding mulberries.
Yep.
Wild berries that are growing outside that actually taste like a muted blackberry, and they're kind of like a blueberry combined kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's a real like muted flavor.
And let me tell you something. We that day we picked a ton of them. She brought them back, food milled all the seeds out of them, and made this amazing sauce, this amazing syrup.
Yeah.
Now,
we went back.
it was amazing because here's the thing. They ate it on pancakes. They ate it on cinnamon rolls. All of our kids ate this stuff.
Yeah.
Not
Cinnamon
us.
rolls, it wasn't their favorite because
I would have had
couldn't
it.
take it. You couldn't taste it with the cinnamon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we went back, and I've got, what is it? Let's see here. I've got 4.5 pounds of mulberries, and I could go back and get some more. But we probably had maybe 2 pounds before. We didn't have as much the first time around.
Well, and there's something going on at the live stream. Rock's Corner, I agree completely. I don't think it's a diet as much as it is a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Well, in the blog that I wrote, it's actually a change in mindset on how you approach your life and food. Because we have a mindset and we talk ourselves into that and we think, hey, I'm just going to live that way. It's easy, it's convenient. Well, quite frankly, what's easy and convenient isn't healthy for us. And I'm relearning that and reteaching myself that, hey, you know what? When you get bored, when you get angry, when you get stressed out, drink some water, right?
The other thing too that I found is that if you're canning or you're making, like I said, I made that mulberry syrup.
Yep.
The recipe that I found, it called for 3 pounds of berries and 8 cups of sugar. 8 cups of sugar.
8 cups of sugar.
And so we were like, no. And so we did, I think, 3 instead of the 8. And and Katie, I talked to Katie about this, and she agreed. She goes, we could probably have taken it down another 1.5 cups. Because I mean, it wasn't overly sweet, but still, it was a little sweeter than our taste likes.
It's a syrup.
But it's a syrup, so and it just, I mean, that much. 8 cups of sugar was. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Janice, I have lost about 126 pounds so far. Gave up sugars, starches, and processed foods. I turned 50 on Tuesday, hoping to hit 135 pounds, and then hit 250 pounds by Christmas. It will put me at my goal weight.
Let's give her a round of applause. That is awesome.
That is awesome. So, I think there are those times when you just got to change your thinking on how you approach food, and I hope that my blog helps some folks feel that through and figure that out. I just think that is amazing. I'm so excited. All right, so that's part of the Goin Batty kitchen. Now that doesn't mean that we're not going to cook great food, and we are definitely going to show some awesome cooking videos as they come to our family.
And I will still do, like I said, every once in a while I'll still do a Cookie Friday video. But,
and not health cookie Friday either.
No, not wood chip cookies.
That's right. No wood chip cookies.
Real
but
good cookies.
They won't stay here.
No, they won't stay here. We'll give them away.
But the Goin Batty kitchen is it's it's still rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
Hi
Maya, I saw you come up and I forgot to say hi to you. So
there's a garden outside. I don't know if we've shown you enough of that or not, but we have taken a ton of areas in our yard and turned them into places for veggies.
Yep.
And one of the cool parts about that is there are tomato plants with little baby tomatoes on them. There are...
Max is so excited because it's like, I've got, I don't know, 4 or 5 tomato plants out of my 15 of them that have little tiny tomatoes on them. And he's like, yes.
There's a new garden in the works that
Yes.
we're not quite done with yet.
Yeah.
And we put that video up today. There's some work that needs to be done to that because of some of the damage that's been done underneath the soil.
Yeah.
But having that stuff removed and getting it kind of worked up and ready, that's going to change the dynamic of that ground. We're gonna put in another garden that's going to have kale. I call it a kale garden because that's all I wanted it. But we're going to plant other stuff too.
Well, by the time we get
and
it
maybe
done,
a cover crop.
it might be.
We might cover crop it.
It might be like we can only plant kale because it's
right.
going to be cold weather crops.
Yeah, I think I'm reading the comments. I can't read comments. I talked to Heather tonight, and I'm like, what are the things that you think a new gardener needs to know? You know, my wife...
Sorry, I have a question. Our growing season is from about the day after Mother's Day to about, well, you know what? I have it written here.
October-ish.
Yeah, it's October...
Because we still pulled, like, potatoes, squash off of that
it's
thing.
It's like, let's see.
And peppers. Peppers actually kind of like the cold.
This thing is quite handy.
What is that, honey?
This is the Clyde's Garden Planner.
Yep.
So if I put it here, like it'll say like our last frost date is April 22nd, but we don't put anything until after Mother's Day because it usually has that freak frost that happens. So if I flip it over on the other side, it'll tell me my last frost date is around November 1st.
Perfect.
So
true.
So the end of October, just depending on what you're growing.
But you know my wife, and she is a good gardener. She learns a lot every year and is getting better and better all the time. And I'm bragging on her because she won't do it. But I asked her, I said, what are some things that you need to know about starting a garden? And I know you guys have some questions there, but I wanted to just kind of throw some things at Heather and see what comments she wanted to make about the things that maybe you need to know if you're starting out.
So,
and if you've never grown a thing in your life, pay attention because it starts simple. It does not start complicated.
Yeah. I will tell you, I don't have any experience in growing elderberries. So I would suggest that you look up Patera from Appalachia's Homestead. And I don't know if he has them, but I mean, the old Alabama gardener is always like a wealth of information when it comes to that.
True.
So look up those two people. They might have information on it. But as far as elderberries, I don't know much about that.
All right. So the things number one, the first thing you need to know about gardening, start small.
Yeah.
All right. So I've never grown a whole lot. And Heather will tell you that I'm not necessarily garden as much as I am animals.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I started growing kale, and now I'm growing broccoli. One plant at a time, I'm growing something.
In his office window.
Now, what did you do?
Well, when we started our garden, okay, so when I was a kid, we had a huge garden. My parents had almost 2 acres, and a quarter acre of it was a garden. And then my grandmother and my grandfather had about 1.5 acres, and a quarter acre of it was a garden too. So I grew up with big gardens. But you know, the person that had all of the knowledge, which was my grandfather, though my grandmother did help with gardening, she was more of the canner, and you know, he was really into the whole gardening aspect of it. You know, he passed away, and so all of that information is now, a lot of it is gone because, you know, it was all in his head. But there were things that I did remember, like, you know, when you planted your corn, you had 2 for God, 1 for you, and 1 for the birds. I mean, and when I was like 3 years old, he would have me go behind him, and he would say, you know, it would be, you know, like 2 of his steps, 4 of my steps, and you would plant the corn that way. But and he had compost piles, and he was constantly watching the Victory Garden, and and here are some things that I have that are his that my grandmother gave me. These are his books here.
Well, we haven't gotten to this one
yeah,
yet.
but
We're going through the list. We're just talking about start small.
So start small. And so that's what we did. When we were in Maryland, I started with 2 pallets that I filled with dirt, and I just grew things in it, and then 2 big pots.
Mm-hmm.
And so in one big pot I grew tomatoes, and the other big pot I grew cucumbers, and in the pallets I grew other things. Now here's what I found out: when you grow carrots in a pallet, they'll only get this long because the pallet is only that deep. And in Maryland, there's a lot of shale in the ground, and so when you dig down, and where here you'll hit clay. If you dig down about 3 inches, there you would hit rock.
That's right.
So we just decided, we're like, well, we didn't have the finances to build big raised beds. So we just started small, and Katie wanted to start this garden, and we were on Pinterest just looking at stuff, and she saw these. Now I have seen where people have taken pallets and they filled them with dirt, and I'm not sure how they do it because the backs are open, but they've leaned them against a wall, and I would think maybe you would have to put a piece of plywood behind it, and they would fill, and they would grow their herbs in that, or they would grow like lettuce, something that doesn't need really deep roots. You could do.
Yep.
But we did lettuce, and we tried beans, and it didn't work, and our cauliflower got eaten, and our broccoli got eaten, and we didn't know. So then I reached out to Leah and Michelle over at the Resistance Chicks, like after they had already been completely eaten away.
Yep.
Said, okay, what do you do? Because we want to do things as organically as possible. Now that's not always what we can do, but it's what we try to do. And Leah told me go out and get some stuff called BT.
Mm-hmm.
The bugs will eat on it a little bit, but it will kill them, but it is safe for you, and it's safe for your animals. So, So the next year when we planted a garden at my mom's house, we had cabbage heads that, I'm not kidding, were this big around.
I kind of missed that.
Yeah, and and there's trials and failures in what we did. We tried doing the Back to Eden gardening, and it failed miserably for us. In fact, our plants did horrible in that. And but
we're not.
It's just, I think it just depends on what works for you, because I know, like, Angela De Jesus has had great experience with Back to Eden gardening.
Mm-hmm.
Now she lives in Texas, and I wonder if maybe there's a difference with, the environment that she grows in and stuff. But she's had a great experience with it. Well, for us, it didn't work out at all. It actually stunted our plant's growth, and it didn't work. So we've kind of ditched that.
Yep.
But
no, here's the next thing. Learn and read books. Go to the library, and Heather, show them some of the things. You can find these in your library, but these are books that Heather has come to love and adore.
So this was my grandfather's, and it's probably backwards, but it's high yield gardening, and
it's backwards. Sorry, guys.
It's by Marjorie Hunt and Brenda Bortz. So this was one that my grandfather had.
High yield gardening.
Yeah, this was his book. The other one is I gotta get it. The Reader's Digest, Illustrated Guide to Gardening. This is another one that is his, and it's interesting because in this book it has his little bookmarks in it that he has left in there to mark his pages on things that he thought was interesting and stuff like that. Like, I find little receipts all the time he always used a receipt as his bookmark. So, but this one's a good one too. The other one that actually is kind of cool because it teaches you how to build things is the Backyard Builder. And it has like 150 projects you can build yourself. And I remember him. He built himself a wheelbarrow out of this. He built himself a thing that held his wood. He built himself a planting bench. I mean, all sorts of stuff. That's a really good one too. And then like the Mac Daddy of all of them, and this isn't so much gardening, but this is just homesteading in general, is the Back to Basics from Reader's Digest. Now this is the old one from like the 60s or 70s, and I think they've come up with a more updated edition. But those are, things like, but go to the library. You don't have to buy the books, because these books, especially a hardback book, those suckers are expensive.
They are.
Go to the library, check them out, take notes, write the stuff down, you know, and constantly experiment. That was one of the things that my grandpa always did, was he was always experimenting on growing things that people told him he could never grow where he lived. So like he was told you can't grow pecan trees in Ohio. Well, he got 2 of them in his yard. Now here's the thing, you have to have 2 pecan trees. If you have 1 pecan tree and you're not getting very many pecans, that's because you need a male and a female pecan tree, just like you need male and female people.
I had no idea that there were gender-specific plants. This is true with peppers?
Yeah, there's a male and a female pepper when you pick peppers.
Blowing my mind.
So,
it's blowing
but anyway,
my mind.
So, you know, he grew pecan trees.
Didn't even know this.
You know, he grew kohlrabi, which I love. He grew something called, he called them creases, but I'm not sure if that's what their actual name is. That might be their, you know, up in the hills
Rock's
of
Corner
Tennessee
has
name.
both of those books.
Yeah.
The secondhand store books are, the secondhand bookstores are great, and
Yes,
we did find some of
yes.
these there.
Well,
we
no,
found
not
more
these,
than that.
not these. Actually, a lot of my cookbooks I found at secondhand. That's a great place to get cookbooks, is a secondhand bookstore. But
4 bumps on the bottom of bell peppers. Female is 3 bumps.
Yeah, so the ones with 4 bumps are better
I had no idea.
for like stuffed peppers. Where if I remember correctly, the ones with 3 are actually better for like if you're slicing them up and cooking them. They're because they have a tendency to be a little sweeter.
Listen,
So.
kids, when Mommy Pepper and
No,
Daddy
stop
Pepper
that.
love each other very much.
Stop that.
This is a family-friendly show,
Yes.
folks. But I didn't know that's what. I feel
Yeah.
educated.
Yeah.
I'm new to gardening, but I'm really enjoying it. Now, am I not going to have any broccoli because it's just one broccoli plant? Do I need a female broccoli plant
don't
and a
think
male
so,
broccoli
no.
plant? Okay.
You might have a little issue though. Well, no, because the broccoli itself is the flower. Because I'm like, if you can't have anything in there that will pollinate it, you won't get any seeds.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well.
But the broccoli itself and the cauliflower itself is the flower.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Whew.
Whew. All right. I'm glad to know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's another thing. Know your zone.
Yes,
You gotta know your zone.
We are in zone, was it 6B?
Does it say it on that
I
thing?
don't think it says it on here. It does not say it on
What's the
here.
importance of knowing your zone?
Okay.
Why do people? We've got people. Listen, there's someone from the Bahamas watching
Yeah.
right now.
So-
Why are you watching this? Go look at the shore and the beach.
Because
No, I'm
they
just
wanna
saying.
see us.
They're
But-
all over the country. Why is it important for them to
Knowing
know
your
their zone?
zone will tell you when your first and last frost date is. So knowing what zone you live in will tell you how long your growing season is. So Alicia and Tim.
Yes.
Their growing season is shorter because they live in Canada.
Of course.
You know, people that live in Texas and Florida and California, their growing seasons are going to be longer because
Yep.
you don't have winters like we have here. I mean, our
Right.
winters aren't especially bad, but they can be kind of cold and icy. But, you know, so you need to know what, and it's very easy to do. Just get on your computer or your iPhone or whatever and Google, put your zip code in and ask what my growing zone is, and it will tell you, or it will send you to a website that will say put your zip code in, and it will tell you what your zone is. So
I am just in awe of this whole thing. Anyway, here's the other thing. Your plant needs water. Your garden needs water. Your plants need water, but they need food.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the food is nitrogen, potassium,
And
phosphorus. That stuff is the plant's food. That's what makes
Yeah.
it happen, Captain. And it's real important that it has that in the soil. Because if you're lacking any of those 3, you're going to have to add it.
which I think is what our issue was when we used the wood chips.
Yeah.
We believe that
goofed.
it sucked all the nitrogen out of the soil because it stunted our plants, and they only grew like this big.
But there is a magic ingredient you can use and we can use to add to the soil to make it good, and it is
Rabbit poop.
rabbit poop.
So
Horse
if
poop
you
is good
have
too.
horse poop, any kind of animal
Any-
manure, but
except for dog poop.
Rabbit poop, yeah. Rabbit poop is good because you can put it directly onto your plants and not burn them, because chicken poop has too much nitrogen in it.
Yes.
Horse poop has to sit too.
Yep.
So you can't just put it on your plants. What my grandpa used to do is he would put the horse manure out, and then he would till it into the ground at, you know, like about, I don't know, end of February, beginning of March.
Yeah.
And then let it sit. And then when it came time for spring, it was okay.
It was ready.
But,
Yeah.
you know, and here's the other thing too. Again, as much as we want to be as organic as possible, if you're going to lose your plants because they're not being fed enough, and here's the thing, I had to use some Miracle Grow on my plants because I tested our pH level in our soil again, and it was off a little bit. And so because we had that barrier fabric down and stuff, you know, we did do leaf mulching, and we're going to keep doing that, and so I won't have to use it next year, but I did use a little bit of it when I started my plants to give them a kickstart. And then once they were in the ground, I used it a couple of times then, just to give them that little bit of boost that they've needed. But and because right now our compost piles, neither one of them are ready to use, because you need to kind of let those sit for about a year.
For a year.
But next year, our compost piles will be totally ready to go into that area where we are starting our new garden bed.
That's right.
So
absolutely.
You know, don't be. I mean, do what works best for you. That's what I'm saying is, you know, if you want to go completely organic, you do that. You do what's best for you. But if you are afraid that you're going to lose your entire harvest because they're not getting enough nutrients and your family is depending on it, then you got to do what's best for your family. So
Rock's Corner has a question. How do you test for soils pH?
Hold on. Let me get my thing real quick.
She's going to show you, and this is an easy tool, and it's not very expensive, and you can get it too. What's it called, Heather?
It's a pH tester.
This is a simple,
It's a
simple tool.
meter. And so I got this guy here. It cost me about $9 maybe on Amazon, but it has a little thing here where it has your pH, your moisture, and how much light that area gets. So you could stick this in the ground and it would tell you how much light it gets during the day. So that way you know if you're full sun, partial sun, shade. Because sometimes you don't know, because areas, depending on the time of the year, gets a different kind of sun. But you stick this guy in there, and your pH level is supposed to be between, like, what's it? Like around 6, you know, it could be a little under, a little over, and it'll show you right here. There's that where I'm in the wrong area. There you go. But one of these guys. So, and like I said, it's got prongs like this. You just stick it about, I don't know, 2 inches down into the dirt, and it will tell you if you have a high pH level or a low pH level. If you're either one of those, your plants won't grow well. So certain things like hydrangeas actually need a higher pH levels. Your blueberries need a higher pH level, so you'll have to amend the soil.
Mama Donna!
So yeah, so that is what I use. And like I said, I think it cost me, it was under $10 or maybe around $10.
And we did not get a chance to use that in that area that we did today. We're going to go back and do it later.
Well, because we can't get it into the ground, because the ground is so
it's pretty bad.
Hard.
We're going to have to figure that out. But
that's
anyway,
going to need a little TLC and some love, because it is just so compacted. So let's see what's next. No use zone.
We need to make sure that we find a gardener vet. Don't do this alone. You need a gardener veteran, someone that's done this for a while.
Like veterinarian plants.
A garden mentor, if you will.
Yeah.
These are important. These are very important. Can you address the young man in the Star Wars shirt?
Yes.
The reason is because you don't want to go through this by yourself. There's a lot of dynamics to what you do in your garden. And we've leaned on a ton of people. Heather's been mentored by her grandfather, her mom, her grandma.
It's funny because my grandmother, though she was out there and she was gardening, she wasn't the one that came up with the garden plan. She wasn't. But when I asked her, I mean, she's 80 88,
Yep.
88 years old. She's quick as a whip.
Yep.
I mean, she remembers things like, I mean, she was the one that she looked at me and she said, when I lost my plants because I planted them before Mother's Day, she's like, I told you. I
Yep.
told you not to do that. And
That's
I'm
right.
like, yes, Grandma. But, you know, she knows, she's got a lot of, you know, she came from a farm family. My grandpa came from a farm family in the hills of Tennessee. You know, it's funny because the mulberries, the only reason I know what those are is because my grandfather, he grew up in the Depression, and
Yep.
his family, to help make ends meet, the pharmaceutical companies came in and said, we need these kind of plants. And so my grandfather knew every plant that had some sort of purpose to it. You know, where he lived, and even
Yep.
here, like things that were edible, things that weren't edible, you
Yep.
know, stuff like that. And he taught me a lot of that stuff. But if you don't have that person, there are plenty of resources on YouTube. I mean, it's one of the wonderful things about YouTube.
Well, let's talk about that a
Yeah.
little bit while you help the little man in the Star Wars shirt.
Okay,
all-
don't worry about it.
All
Just don't worry
YouTube
about it.
channels have that gardening element. All YouTube
Okay.
channels, there's a ton of gardeners on YouTube,
Yeah.
and one of the best is Old Alabama
Yeah.
Gardener. You've got to check out Old Alabama Gardener. He can answer every question that you have. He's smart, he's educated in all of the different kinds of things, and the stuff that he
Deep
doesn't know,
South
he
Homestead.
learns.
Their growing seasons will be different,
Yeah.
but the things that a plant needs doesn't change depending on where it is.
Right.
You know, it's still going to need those vitamins, those nutrients, and stuff like that. And both of those, like, those are probably the two biggest
Yeah.
people that have, when I couldn't remember what my grandpa said, or my grandmother couldn't remember, those are the two biggest people that I've gone to.
Absolutely.
To go, okay, you know, this is what I need to do. So
Here's the other thing. Don't go comparing. Don't fall into the comparison trap. You do not want to compare your garden to someone else's garden. You just don't.
and I
It's
fall
hard
into
not
that
to.
all the time.
It's hard not to, but here's the thing. You're not at the same level as someone else, and that person may be a little bit behind you, and they're still learning and might need your help, but not want it. They might be a little ahead of you, and you might envy that. Well, don't fall into that trap thinking, "Oh, I need to compete." It's not a competition.
Yeah.
This is doing what it. Keep it fun. Keep it light. Don't fall into that trap. Don't
I
compare.
fell into, well, we had this big garden when I was a kid, but the thing was, we also had the wisdom of my grandpa, and, you know, in the hard work of my mom, and, you know, us kids going out there and we would garden. And
Yep.
I mean, and our kids did that stuff too, but that head of knowledge wasn't there. Like,
That's right.
you know, my grandpa wasn't there, so I don't know nearly as much as he does. So I'm learning on the way. So just, you know, cut yourself a little slack, because
I'm just glad my plants are still alive,
yeah.
she said.
Well,
That's
there were
awesome.
times where I'm like,
Noah's
okay, so you're in the ground now. You have to have a very strong will to live, because I'm sometimes like, Alfred, if it doesn't bark at me, I don't know it needs water. So
That's right.
you know.
That's right. The other thing too, here's a question for Heather.
Yeah.
Heather, when you first start out, seeds or seedlings?
If you are a beginning gardener, I would start with seedlings. I would just bite the bullet and go to a local greenhouse, or even to, like, one of the grocery stores around here had really great plants, Meyer.
Yep.
I would start there, because there's so much that I've learned that goes into starting seeds. And again, I watched my grandpa start seeds. He had an entire room built on his house just to start seeds. He has I guess it's considered it's not a Florida room because it doesn't have screens in it, but it's glassed in. It's almost like a greenhouse. And that's what he started all of his seeds in there. And I was amazed watching him do that. Well, I tried it, and I didn't have that kind of area. You know, it didn't get hot enough. I didn't get enough sunlight. My plants got leggy, which means they grow up and they get really spindly and then they fall over. You know, so you have to have a grow light, you have to have a heat mat, you have to have the right kind of potting soil. And unless it's something that you really want to conquer, starting out, I would just go ahead and buy what you wanted. And again, start small, you know, and grow what you'll eat. Don't grow weird stuff. Like if you don't like kale, don't buy kale.
Yeah.
You know,
grow what you're gonna eat.
yeah, you know, if you hate hot peppers, then you have no business buying, like, you know, habaneros. So
Right.
just, I would start beginning gardeners. But if you want to start plants, I mean, we got a little grow
Every year,
light.
grow that next thing, you know.
But then you have to watch out for, if you have animals in your house, they will eat your plants. Kevin's cat, I nearly made cat soup out of him because he kept eating my starts. They would get this high, and he would eat them all and pull them right out of the tray. And then I would get him out in the yard, and the dog would want to eat them. And I'm like, I'm getting.
And then there's squirrels, and then there's bunny rabbits, and then there's other local
Everything
animals.
wants to eat your stuff.
And
So-
problems will arise, and they're not problems to get frustrated at it. They're opportunities to learn.
Yeah.
And that's what our next thing is. Don't get frustrated at the problems. They're opportunities to learn, and those are things that we can grow through. And as I grow plants and learn more, I know one of the biggest things about our garden this year, and it's annoying, it is so frustrating, but we have to do it, is we have to protect our plants.
We have to put chicken wire around everything.
Everything,
Because
or it gets
we have
eaten.
tree rats all over the place. These squirrels are just everywhere. And I mean, and it's funny because we have a dog. She pees all over the yard. You would think that, and it's not a big yard. You would think they'd smell it, but they don't seem to care.
Chipmunks are a huge problem.
Yep. Rabbits are a huge it's funny because we're in the city and you wouldn't think it would be as much of an issue here as it would be in the country, but my mom doesn't have nearly the problems. And I mean, she lives in a suburb, but we're technically city. So, you know, so we've had to chicken wire everything to keep them from eating it.
Here's another truth. It takes time.
Yep.
Give yourself a break. It's going to take time to grow. It won't happen overnight. And, you know, eventually you'll look down and you'll have a whole mess of raspberries over the next few years. You'll have a whole bunch of, I haven't seen Mom's asparagus, and I bet it's just a cat soup. I read it.
Well, no,
It's cracking me
Donna
up.
was saying that my cat was eyeballing my little garden, but then I found out he didn't bother the plants, but he was just munching on a bunny.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Well, that's good because the bunny needs to stay out of your garden.
Yeah, cabbage and kale. Like I started cabbage, kale, and broccoli, and that cat ate every one of them.
Yep.
Every one of them.
Yep.
So I was like,
LOL, cute squirrels.
Oh no, squirrels. Oh.
Tree rat.
No. I don't like squirrels.
But just it takes time. The last thing we wanted to say is make it fun. Have a good time with it. I'm enjoying the fact that 2 of my kale plants are out there in our garden.
Yeah, the ones that he had in his office.
And eventually the broccoli's going to join it, and that makes me happy. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
So here's a secret. This is a Goin Batty thing. This is not for everyone. Some gardeners may even shun us for saying this. We don't care. But sometimes, here's the thing. You can't always do organic.
Yeah.
We made a decision this year that we were going to use a little bit of Miracle Grow to help our plants grow, and we need a crop. We need that food for our future family. For future food for our family.
Not future family. We're done with the family part. But
we're not done with the family part.
Well, no, we have the family. I mean, we're not adding more that unless, you know, God.
Part of this has to do with
way.
part of us losing weight and doing the vegetable thing and eating healthy is because I want to meet my grandkids.
Yes.
I don't want to have to wait till heaven. And so if I'm eating healthy now, then I get to we can start canning for a future family. Anyway, the point being is not that. It's to say that we needed a crop, and we decided that we were going to give it a little kick. We're not using pesticides. We're not using things. But we are...
The only pesticide that I've used is I've used diatomaceous earth because I had something eating
and
some
it was
of my
food grade,
plants.
and we wash it off before.
It's food grade, and we wash it.
Some of our secrets there out for the interweb to know. But I'll be honest with you guys.
Well, if you can help somebody else. I mean, it's not like, oh, this is a closely guarded secret. I mean,
yes.
other people have helped me, and with what little knowledge I have, I would like to help somebody else. You know.
And we're gonna grow from that. There's always little tips and tricks that we're learning. that will take us into a more organic situation.
Because I can tell you, my squash plants that I planted in where the rabbit hutch was, and all the poop just kind of came down. Those are doing fantastic.
Jayton said diatomaceous earth is organic.
Yeah, no, it is, but I mean, it's that, I mean, that's the one pesticide that we've used. You know.
Amy T. She says we really don't have squirrels much. I now wonder if the other deadly stuff have killed them off.
Well, maybe there's a positive there.
Yeah.
No more squirrels.
Kim says thank you because I need all the help I can get.
Yeah.
LOL.
Well, I mean, like I said, I just started out like just going, okay. Actually, we started gardening, and I know this is probably a bad reason to do it, but I started doing it out of fear. Like, you know, we were in Maryland, and you know, we were Kevin was at a job that was not fitting him, and I'm like, okay, well, if something happens and he loses this job, which he didn't, you know, but we wound up deciding that just for our family's sake, we needed to move home. How am I going to feed our family?
Right.
Because if there's not enough money coming in, how am I going to feed my family? And again, it didn't start with, you know, trying to do things organically. It just started with trying to have food that my family could eat. Right. And you know, and like I said, you know, we will when we can, and when we can't, we won't. Right. And because it is what our family needs. Yep. So but yeah, so I mean, it just like I said, you learn from. There's so many resources out there of people who are doing this and doing it on a much bigger and better scale than I am. But, you know, I'm just sharing what I know. Like I said, I've got stuff planted in hay bales, you know, because I'm
experimenting.
Like, you know, this sounds fun.
Yeah.
Let's try this.
We're experimenting.
And it's working. I mean, I've got tomato plants in there, I've got pepper plants, and I've got cucumbers, and they're all doing great.
And we're having to change the chicken wire every day because they constantly grow.
They're growing. So we have to make the chicken wire taller. So we have these giant, like, Fort Knox chicken wire things all around our stuff. So, yeah.
Fresh but not organic, still 100 times better than store-bought.
Yes, that's true.
Sheila says, subject channel, Noah's Ark. I'm from Michigan. Miss my home state. And fresh tastes better. I love the convenience of walking in the backyard and picking things. Yeah. I'll tell you, that's going to be our reality. Matter of fact, we've already done it to the kale.
Yeah. I made it for Kevin where I sauteed it in, like, I took oil, like olive oil, and I just heated it up and then infused it with garlic.
Let me see.
And hot pepper flakes. Yeah, you got bit by something.
You got bit by something.
Yeah. She is a mosquito magnet.
Here, like, look at that thing.
My arm's not supposed to bend that way.
Oh. Sorry.
They just eat her up.
Yeah, no.
But I forget what I was talking about.
We were talking about not necessarily organic.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But here's one of the things that is kind of fun that we've been doing. We've been experimenting.
We're talking about walking out and just picking something and eating it.
Exactly. Horseradish. That's the other thing we're growing. I'm so excited. It's sprouting. And Sherry from Two Family Homestead, when you watch this, if you watch this, we need your help a little bit on how do we replant that for next year.
So we have Can we split it and plant some more somewhere
harvest it, cut it in half, and plant it some more? So we could use a little bit of advice from any of you guys.
Because she's been gardening like way longer than
smart.
They're smart.
There's a lot of smart people on here too, so maybe.
But so yeah, I mean that whole going out, grabbing something and eating it, like being able to look at my kids, go, you want a snack? Go out there. I've got 3 cherry tomato plants. Just pick them off and eat them. Max can't wait to have himself a big old tomato sandwich.
Yep.
So that'll be the one time that I'll probably bake bread for him, is because he loves tomato sandwiches, and I'll make him some homemade mayonnaise, and he'll be just the happiest boy ever.
Okay, so just a quick note about homeschool is, and you've already know that it's wrapping up. We won't go into the whole portfolio thing.
Yeah. Because it's different for every person and different. Like, you know, Texas, you just have to tell them you're homeschooling and that's it.
We're going to switch out of garden mode and talk about a little bit about the homeschooling thing. We are able to look at everybody and say, hey, we're wrapping up homeschool right now. So
Because we've definitely gotten our 900 hours in.
Yes, for
You
sure.
know,
And that's a beautiful thing.
And one of the great things is that, you know, we have our curriculum that we use, but playing in the garden is part of that. Them being in the band at school is part of that. The stuff that they learn in Boy Scouts is part of that. So, you know, our curriculum goes 180 days because that's the curriculum that we use is set to the standard of Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania has to have 180 days.
Yep.
Well, in Ohio, you have to have 900 hours.
Yep.
So it's kind of like if you homeschool, know your school laws, like homeschooling laws. Homeschool Legal Defense Association is a great place to find all that stuff. They have a website. You just click on your state, and it'll tell you what you need.
Yep.
You know, Ohio, we have to have either you have to take a standardized test, or you have to have a portfolio reviewed by a certified teacher. So we're going the certified teacher route because the tests that they give you are geared towards Common Core curriculum that they use in the schools, the public schools, and we don't use those. We don't use that. So we're going to have the certified teacher review ours. So we're going to,
Yep. The question came up, do you have a video on how to make mayonnaise?
Yes, I do. It actually was one of the...
It's in the Goin Batty kitchen playlist.
It's like one of the first, like maybe 10 that I did. It's one of the earlier ones.
Yeah,
but,
and I can't find it right now for some reason.
Yeah, so it actually is super easy. The one thing that I will tell you is your eggs have to be room temperature. They have to be. If you use cold eggs, your mayonnaise will not turn out right. It just won't. It'll be thin and liquidy, and you know, they have to be room temperature eggs.
That's right. So I'm going to be looking for that, and I'll try to get it up here on the live stream so you guys can see it. But I'm having a little trouble looking through. Where's the Goin Batty kitchen playlist?
I don't know.
I lost our play. Oh, view 10 more. There it is. Boom. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the homeschooling thing in a separate video, maybe. And we're going to move on into our favorite things. So Heather's going to talk about the awesomeness of food mills.
Yes. So I have this guy right here. Whoop. It's in a big old box. It's in its original box. And this is a, let's see, can't read it because the tape is on it, but Vitico strainer. It's a hand crank. It's one that you crank by hand, which I kind of like. So it comes like this. It has a hand crank. It's got the piece that goes in like this, and then it's got the strainer. Where'd it go? That goes over top of it like that, and then it has this guy that goes in here. So, and then you put a dish underneath of it to catch all your stuff. I love this thing. Now, this thing is a model that they haven't made in they said 2 decades, so it's going to be really hard for me to find parts for it if it ever goes south.
There's the link to the video for Mayo, by the way.
But this thing is, like I said, I was born in 76, and I believe that this is a 75 model. So
it's awesome.
But it's
you
awesome.
can grind meat with this too, right?
Yeah, you could if you had the right.
It's lighter than it looks, folks. I'll be honest with you. That looks like a big chunk of metal, but it is not heavy. It is actually very light. Now, I don't know if you've ever used one of these before, but it is a wonder to watch. And we did a little bit with our video. It is a Victorio number 200 Victoriano Manufacturing Company. Willoughby, Ohio.
Yep, it's in Ohio.
think. So anyway, there you go.
I'm
That's
hoping I did not lose all of my pieces and parts.
Oh, jeez. She had all her pieces and parts together. Well, that's an amazing tool, and that's Heather's favorite thing.
Yeah, I have used it. Oh, wait, let me move back.
She's used it for...
I've used it for tomatoes. I've used it for blueberries. I've used it... I mean, it's just... you know... I have the original manual that comes with it.
See this part right here? This is important to remember. Does not work on a beveled table. You have to have a square edge to the table because when you use it, it'll do that.
Yeah.
It'll be doing that.
That's the one downfall to this is because our table edge is beveled, and so my son will tighten it down, but my oldest son has to hold it, and sometimes it'll leak just a little bit. So he had like mulberry juice running down his arm. But,
they've been using Duke's mayo. They
Duke's,
say.
yeah, Duke's mayonnaise is
Top notch.
yeah, is really good.
Something wrong?
So no, I've got a couple of seeds stuck in there still, but
Seeds stuck in the food mill.
so I think that might be the one piece that'll probably be the easier one to replace.
Yep.
But some of this other stuff is just, you know, but again, like I said, it's over 40 years old, so.
Yep.
But yeah, I like the hand crank. Now my grandmother had one that attached to her Oster mixer, and when we used to do, I mean, gosh, tons and tons and tons of tomatoes. I mean, I can't even. We would spend a week canning tomatoes. I mean, tomato sauce, just regular tomatoes, salsa thing. I mean, there was a slew of tomatoes that we did. And she would use her
Hi, Mike. How are you?
her Oster mixer with that kind of thing on it.
Yeah.
Just because it was faster. But I mean, we don't have anything that's quite
Yep.
that big. I have 15 tomato plants, so I
That's
mean,
right.
yeah.
So one of the things. Okay, so that's Heather's favorite thing. My favorite thing is, well, you know, sometimes when you're walking through the yard, you just see a stick and you think, oh, look, it's a stick. And it looks something like that, right? It's just a stick. My son, one of my sons, my oldest son, when he looks at a stick, he sees this. He carved that, whittled it, nay, artistically drew, and carved out a face out of the stick he found in the yard.
It's Treebeard from the Lord of the Rings.
Isn't that amazing? And Alicia, I'll address your question in just a second. But that is taking something and repurposing it in a way that I never expected. This is one of my Father's Day presents. It is one of my favorite things today. I have all of my Father's Day presents out, kind of going, hey, these are all pretty cool. And just wanted to share that with you, that these are definitely some of my very favorite things. I just think it's so good to look outside the box. Max did a great job, and he's a very gifted artist. Yeah. We're going to figure out how to get him some real wood chiseling tools. Yeah. You know, because that's just going to happen.
Alicia, I don't know about vegetables that raise blood pressure, but ones that lower it, like any of your really dark berries, your dark leafy greens, stuff like that, are supposed to be really
antioxidants, that kind of thing.
So, I mean, like mulberries are supposed to be really good for lowering, you know, your blood pressure and stuff.
Yep.
So,
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, guys, there's just part of some of the favorite things that we have, and we'll be bringing new favorite things to you as we go. I just wanted to take a minute and, you know, we do this channel. We have a couple of different things that we promote, but one of the biggest things that we want you to know is there's some free ways that you can support our channel. And there's simple ways. This is not a hard thing for you to do. We were talking to Big Family Homestead many months ago, and again, they affirmed it in us with even Living on a Dime said it. If you want to support our channel, just watch the commercials. Yeah. I know it doesn't sound hard, but it's watch the commercials. If you watch through the commercials, it actually helps our family out a lot.
You have to get 30-second into the commercials.
At least. Yeah. At least. Yeah. And if you want to go all the way, they're not that long. We'd love to do that. Use our Amazon links. Those links are free for you to use. And when you go to Amazon and you purchase something, if you don't go to Amazon and you don't purchase anything, then forget I said anything. Yeah. But there's other ways that if you are interested in supporting the Goin Batty channel, check those out. They're linked down below. And of course, Thrive Life Food, as you guys know, we're consultants of that, and would love to give you more information about Thrive Life. But and our
store.
I'm sorry. And our Goin Batty store, of course, with all of the goodies on it that Heather has made. We also have a the kind of rolling pin that she likes to have, and she just put some new bags up. So you're gonna want to check that stuff out.
The French rolling pin. I hate the ones with the ball bearings in them. Hate them.
You were kind of laughing at, not laughing, but
I was
making an observation about Tara tonight.
Tara was using her rolling pin, but she was using it like I use mine. She wasn't actually using the handles that roll. She was actually rolling it with her hands on top of it.
That's right. That's right.
Because I can't control the pressure with the ones with the ball bearings in it. So, hey, look, I've got mulberry seeds. You want to plant them and we'll get a tree?
Yeah.
These were stuck in these probably aren't very good. They were stuck in just the little, I had a few seeds that were just that got stuck in the food mill. So I had to let them dry out so I could pop them out.
Absolutely. And we have a Patreon account too if you're interested in that. So thank you so much for letting us do that shameless plug. And we are going to pause, take some questions, and then we're going to pray and be done.
Yes, don't forget to pray. We had people last time like, you
forgot to pray last time. I can't believe it. What are some of the questions you might have for the Goin Batty channel, and how can we do that? H, that's not good. I don't know what that means.
Huh?
Heather, that's not good. No, I don't know. No, she's having a test done and going to oncology. She also has a first degree heart block.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yes, that's Caitlin. That's Alicia and Tim's daughter, and they're rocking it. So they're really taking good care of a really some awesome kids. You've got seeds going everywhere.
I know. They're just small enough to get stuck in the hole. Like not all of the holes, just a few of them. I've got about 20 seeds here that just.
Listen, I say mulberry bush right there in the front yard.
Our neighbors would probably not enjoy that.
A bush, just a bush.
Because those would squish and then the birds eat them and poop all over their cars.
Not my car.
Well, yeah, but we want to be nice neighbors.
Well, okay. I still think we should have one. Do you guys have any questions? If not, we'll quit beating a dead horse. But they watch us for the entertainment, not for our knowledge and wisdom.
I know, because we don't have a whole lot of that.
We don't have a whole lot of
all
that.
All right, I got all the seeds out. We're good now.
Someone just said purple poop.
Yes, the purple poop from the birds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, all right. Well, guys, let me pray first and we'll get going. You have male mulberry trees. Do you have fruit?
I don't know about that. I know that I can tell you that some of the mulberries that we have picked, some of them have been smaller and some of them have been bigger.
I think that depends on where the light is, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And what kind of water source
I don't know if you need a male and a female mulberry tree.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know either, but we could find out by just throwing those right out in the soil.
Let's see.
It's right there where that tree was.
All right, you boys and girls.
All right, cool. We had one, my mom ground bologna in it.
The
mulberry tree.
Not the mulberry tree, the meat grinder. Now, I actually have your grandmother's meat grinder that she used to make sandwich bread with.
Yeah, Noah's Ark says I have one mulberry tree in my backyard.
Yeah. Mom has one that sprouted in her backyard over the last year or so.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, let me pray first and we'll get out of here, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope you had as much fun as we did. And we're always grateful to be a part of this awesome homesteading and just awesome Goin Batty community. We're so grateful that you're with us. Let's pray. And you can grind bologna.
Yep.
It's good.
You make sandwich bread out of it.
That's
Your grandma used to do that.
Yeah, you can
Your
get it
grandma
Kroger.
it was cool because she had it was like a smaller version of that was her meat grinder, and she actually in her cabinets had a drawer that pulled out that she clamped that sucker onto. That Kevin said that's what that little, it looked like a cutting board, but that's what she used that for.
Awesome.
So yeah.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true. Grammy ground a lot of meat.
Yep.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you so much for the privilege it is to be a part of this awesome community. We lift up everyone's families, everyone's gardens, all their animals, everything that they're trying to produce. And we pray for the people that are just starting out this whole gardening or homesteading thing. God, teach us how to be better at what we do and give us fellowship around topics so that we can learn and continue to get better. Father, we thank you. It's in your Son's precious name. Amen.
Amen.
guys, don't forget to check us out on Facebook. Like, subscribe, and comment. Hello.
And check us out on Instagram.
Like, totally.
What's wrong with you?
So much. There's so much wrong with me. I feel like sometimes we say that and it's just like Magoo. It's just boring.
All right.
Well, blessings to you. There is more fun to be had, especially over the next 3 days as we venture on into an adventure. But you'll have to wait to see what that's all about, because we're gonna vlog it all. Blessings, you guys. Have a great night, and as always,
More updates as we go.
as we go.
Bye.